You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. The pursuit of anime is an aim to explore philosophical topics through the medium of anime, to create discussion and to enlighten ourselves. We are by no means professionals, and the content of this podcast is pure discussion. It's meant to stimulate and exercise our minds, and hopefully, in the process, yours too. So you're joined here today by myself, Raven, and Teddy.
Hello.
And today we're basically talking about Stoicism in anime, the philosophy of Stoicism. And I guess just to open this up really quickly, there's a difference between I guess the general idea of Stoicism and like Stoic philosophy. So just to give a quick kind of breakdown of that, there's lowercase Stoicism, like Stoicism just as a word, and then there's like
Like the
Stoic
philosophy.
philosophy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stoicism as a like a philosophy, like as a school of thought. And so lowercase Stoicism, that's basically like, it's what you see mostly portrayed in media, right? Or like in anime, you see like the character that he just doesn't give a crap. No matter what happens, he's just stone face. Um, people with like a stiff upper lip, like the type of person who will tell you to suck it up or give you tough love, you know? So that is more of like an attitude or a trait. And while that does kind of tie into like the philosophy of Stoicism and it can be representative of it, it is not completely what Stoicism is. And so there's a difference between lowercase Stoicism and uppercase Stoicism. So what uppercase Stoicism it's basically this entire school of Greek philosophy it was basically invented or flourished around kind of like the Roman Empire, and it lasted for about 5 centuries, or was taught for about 5 centuries, and of course it's pervaded until now through history. So it's this form of Stoicism, Stoic philosophy, that we're talking about when we talk about some great philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, who we opened the podcast with, and this kind of Stoicism that we think of when we think of using it for like personal development nowadays, and philosophy. And
You know,
yeah.
uh, real quick, what's interesting about that? Because I was looking into it too, because I figured there's a difference between the the concept as it's used daily versus the philosophical idea of Stoicism, right?
Hmm.
And as I looked into it, I found that the originator, Lord have mercy on my soul, the originator of Stoicism is this dude called Zeno, right? He was a
Hmm.
merchant, Greek merchant back in the day, and he shipwrecked. And I saw an excerpt somewhere where he said it in a way that was kind of poetic. It was like, uh, through the shipwreck, he was able to embark on another journey, which is the journey of the mind, right? Discovering himself and coming to create essentially what would later become, a school of thought in Stoicism. And the main reason why that stood out to me is because of his name. There's a character that we know whose name is Zeno, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, he could be kind of I don't know if he would be inspired by if he was inspired by the philosopher Zeno, or if he's completely unrelated. But he's also a little bit of a stoic at times. But yeah, just a little side tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Um and yeah, like I think you like summed it up perfectly. Like that kind of idea is central to Stoicism. It's one of the ideas which we'll get into, kind of these few central ideas of Stoicism, where the guy was shipwrecked, right? He was going somewhere, he had a goal, and he was shipwrecked. This is a horrible event. This is not something that you want to happen, right?
No,
But he didn't look at it that way, right? He looked at it as like basically, well, I'm shipwrecked, so let me basically make the most of it. I'm not gonna react. I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm literally just gonna, see what I can make out of it. And what he made out of it is like, he took it as a time to kind of enlighten himself, and focus on that instead of focusing on, I guess, the just overreacting to it, or just like, letting that event make him shut down or panic or anything like that.
I feel
And
like he was so humble too.
yeah,
He was so unique. But yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm actually glad you brought that up because I don't know if you saw this when you were researching it, but like there was this other philosopher. So basically, this is what happened, right? He got shipwrecked, and somehow he basically reached this city called Citium, which was in Cyprus, and there were a bunch of like philosophers there, but eventually he ended up in Athens, which was like where all the philosophers were. That's where like
Yeah.
all the big boy. That was like the Marine Ford. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like what Cali is to content creators.
Yeah, it was like the Reverie, you know.
Yeah.
And there was this dude. His name was Diogenes, and this dude saw him. He was one of the first to meet him, and he said, "I saw this dude, and his neck was bent to one side." And he was thick-legged, flabby, and weak. This is quotes from him. So he's
Oh, that's
saying he's
rough.
flabby. Yeah, like this dude, like you hear the description of this dude Zeno, and you're like, bro, this dude must have been humble because, I mean, dude, like, he doesn't sound like Arnold
Oh
Schwarzenegger.
man.
He does
Hey
not sound like
yo.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Let's just say that.
That's crazy.
So yeah, this is the thing. And by the way, it's just a little fun fact. Diogenes was from Sinope. He was a weird one too. He was fond of demonstrating his commitment to all things natural, which we'll get into as a kind of one of the core themes of Stoicism. One of the ways that he demonstrated his commitment to this philosophy was by masturbating in public, because
Uh,
he
uh,
basically his idea was like, well, I just don't give a crap, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna whack off in public. But anyways,
oh wow. So he was an exhibitionist. That's insane.
yeah, I think
It's like
I
all for the sake of philosophy. You are sick, brother. Seek help quickly.
a thousand
Oh,
lashes. We subjected to a thousand lashes.
oh
But
man. A lash for every stroke.
yeah,
My
oh my god. But
goodness me.
but anyways, I guess one of the central like kind of tenets to help us kind of understand stoicism, and we could take this kind of as this whole episode as kind of a stoicism 101, just to kind of understand what it is, and we'll get into the anime in a second because we have a beautiful tier list coming in. But one of the central tenets of stoicism is to live in accordance with nature, as we saw Diogenes was fond of. He lived in nature so much that he whacked off in public. I don't know how that ties into nature, but it's each their own. So they basically have this ideology that to live well, one must live in harmony with logos. And logos is basically a universal reason, which they equate to nature, or just like fate, what some people may call fate, right? So virtue comes from remaining in tune with logos and is found in it. So stoic logos means accepting that every occurrence, anything that happens in life, is the right thing to happen. So every occurrence is the right one. So if somebody had measured every outcome and chosen the best possibility, that's basically what life is. It's They basically believe in a higher power. Maybe it's not a god, but it's something like a universal law. So in the context of like Greek philosophy, logos is this divine principle which transcended like the world of humans, and it's the principle that gives life and order to all beings in the universe. So this is like basically step 1 of it, you know? And it's basically one of the main things of it because, well, like you said, Teddy, he got shipwrecked, and to him it's like, well, I mean, this is just how it was meant to be, you know? So instead of complaining about it, or becoming irrational or crying about it, or letting it affect me, I'm just gonna accept, hey, this is how the universe wanted it to be for me. So I'm just gonna rock with it. What do you kind of
I
think about
hate
that,
that
Teddy?
thinking so much because what it does is it kind of I get the reasoning behind it. I get the strength in it because it's like when certain forces outside of your control manifest themselves and affect your surroundings, you need to learn to understand, okay, I don't have the power to do anything about it, but what I do have power over is how I respond to it, right?
Yeah.
And how it affects me. I decide that. That I understand. But Raven, there are children who get taken advantage of. there's a lot of unfairness that happens in this world, and I refuse to believe that you're just supposed to accept, oh, that's what it was supposed to be. That kind of thinking is so unbelievably asinine. It it makes me shake with anger to think that there are people who are going to use that kind of mindset to go through life and try to make the best of certain situations. No, just accept that it is what it is. I feel like that's the strength of stoicism. It's not just chalking it up to a higher power that, hey, listen, this was meant to be this way. This was meant to happen this way. Because think about it too. At that point, it takes away any of your own initiative. Because if you say it was meant to be this way, then that means, oh, well, if like whether I overcome it or not, that's just what it was meant to be. No, I like to believe that I have command over myself, over my own life. So I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, you know what? Well, this situation, that kind of, like because the way I see it, it's totally fine to be mad at a situation if it turns out unfavorably for you.
Hmm.
But then learning to get past that and overcome that and make the best of it, that's what makes you strong. That's what, in my eyes, qualify you as a stoic in terms of that philosophy. So that specific tenet, not for me. But let's see where this goes. I was just gonna, because like as you were saying it, it was just boiling and brewing inside of me. I was like, okay, let me just chill. Let me let the brother finish before I go in, because that's just no, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's actually one of my problems too with it is that well, anyway, I'll get into it later. I'll get into it later because I just want to kind of get into what it is
For
first.
sure, for sure.
Like, so this is the thing. Like, basically, they have this predisposition to. So when you think of a Stoic, you kind of think they have a predisposition to be passive, right? You see them as quiet, and you can even think of them as submissive because anybody that doesn't really know about the ideology will see a person who's a Stoic, and they'll be like, "Oh, this dude's just a pushover. He doesn't talk that much. Let me see what I can do, what I can get away with." So um, this is basically what a Stoic does when they're following the I guess the will of the logos. And I guess kind of just to get into my problem with it is like I don't see how that idea of stoicism separates you from like any other religious person or something, where philosophy is supposed to be something like well, one of the major quotes of philosophy, right? God is dead. It's one of the most impactful quotes of philosophy, and it's something that kind of separates philosophy from religion. I know that there's, of course, we talked about Soren Kierkegaard, who he was a theologian and philosopher. Of course, I feel like philosophy and religion do go hand in hand, but at the same time, there's this idea that they're separate kind of concepts, right? But my problem with Stoicism in this, at least in regards to this tenet, is that like there doesn't seem to be a separation there. It's just like you're saying there's this universal law. You basically might as well just like replace that with the word God. Like, I guess God just said so that this is the way it is, and so I'll just accept it blindly,
Mhm.
without giving a second thought or being inquisitive, which is what I think philosophy is all about: being inquisitive, questioning everything, being like,
Yes.
no, this is not the way that it should be. Is this the way that it actually should be, or like why did this happen? But I do see some value though in stoicism. Think about it this way, Teddy, right? Let's say, because the example we gave was something that's like very new world stuff, right? Like the whatever with the kids or whatever. Back in the day, that stuff was barbaric and normal, right? So for them, I guess a tragic event would be like the overtaking of a city, right? Someone
Mhm.
comes in, takes your entire city, say, takes your family's lives or whatever. Um, they would have thought that the logos would tell you, well, hey, if your city was decimated by this barbaric force, well, such was the way of life. And I think that we see that in anime a little bit with remember Zoro, when he was about to die, he basically had that mentality of like, hey, if this happens to me right now, it's because I was too weak. Now, of course, there's a difference because when it involves a city, it involves other people and not just you. So that's brings me to my central kind of opinion on stoicism, where I think it's good as an individual philosophy, but when you apply it to like a general, like wider population, it can have some problems, like you're saying, and especially when we add kind of modern day morality to it, it raises a lot of questions. I don't know what you think about that.
I think it's important to have an understanding of what you can and cannot do. There is a kind of peace you find when you're able to understand that there are going to be some aspects of life that you're not going to be able to do anything about. You're just going
Hmm.
to have to accept it and move accordingly. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're about to go on a picnic, right, with your
Yeah,
girl. Y'all looked up the weather, it was supposed to be nice and all that, right? Great. And then out of nowhere, the weather turns for the worse and it starts raining. So you have to cancel your plans.
yeah,
According to um the the philosophy of stoicism, like the way they're saying it is like, oh, you're just supposed to accept that that's just what was meant to be, right? Now I understand where that comes from because there is nothing you can do about it. So of course you, like, in that situation you have no choice but to accept it, right? But
yeah,
what I feel is very um like a human emotion that you shouldn't necessarily repress is the feeling of disappointment. I can still accept what's happening, but I also can be disappointed about it. It doesn't mean that it's going to completely ruin my day or my existence. It's just that this is objectively unfortunate,
yeah,
right? And I feel like we're trying to get to a place where we don't feel certain emotions from certain situations or certain events that take place. Like, I'm sorry, but that's part of the human experience, and trying to remove that, you can try and do it consciously for a certain period of time, but I promise you, you're not going to be able to do it consistently over time. The way I see it is you're able to understand that there's nothing you can do about this. You're able to feel all the emotions that come with it, whether it be anger, frustration, all that stuff, but then you're able to overcome them and get past them. That to me is stoicism, not just finding, like, using that logic or that reasoning of, why should I be mad? Because there's nothing I could do about it. Just because there's nothing you can do about it doesn't mean you don't get to be mad. You can be. It just don't go and shoot up a school because you're mad, or don't let it negatively ruin, affect your day, something like that, right? So that's kind of my thinking, not the way they're spinning it. Like, bro, if if we get pillaged, if my city or my village or whatever gets attacked or gets destroyed, you really think I'm going to sit there and think, well, such was the way it was preordained, there's nothing I can do about it? No, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna feel some type of way because what did we ever do to y'all to come and do this to us? Right? That
yeah,
doesn't mean that I'm going to just stop and sulk and not do anything. Of course, there's going to be repairs that need to be done, things need to be rebuilt, stuff like that. Like, we need to heal the wounded, bury the dead. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of work that needs to be done, and then maybe trying to get retribution. But that's a completely different conversation. At the end of the day, it's like, I'm not gonna use the logic of, or the mindset of, there's nothing that I can do about it, to turn into this, like, this existence that's devoid of emotional response to stimuli. That's just not me, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. But for these people, they lived in a time where, like, your city would get overtaken and that's it. Your loved ones died, and now that's it, basically. You're a citizen of this new culture, right? Or you may even become enslaved
Hmm.
by whoever overtook you. And at that point, you don't. It's not. You're not in the position to be angry. You're not in the position to. I mean, you can feel angry, but you're not. If you want to live, I
That,
mean, if
that's
you're smart,
yeah.
you're not in the position to show that anger, bro.
That's
Unless you.
exactly what I mean, right?
So,
Right. That's exactly my point. Like,
but the
yeah,
problem is we nowadays we don't live like that, right? We live
no,
in the state of comfort, so we kind of have the luxury
we do
to
have
show
that
all these
luxury.
emotions.
Exactly, we do have
But
that luxury to do that.
and this is where kind of the Stoic philosophy can be applied to nowadays life, right? And when we'll kind of wrap up the kind of definition of it with this kind of chart that I've brought up here. So the first part would be here, living agreement with nature. Like basically, right? To get a basic understanding of what Stoicism is. The central tenet, the first one is live in agreement with nature, right? Something happens, you must accept that it was just meant to happen. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Whether we disagree or not, that just is what it is. It's what Stoicism is. It's what it taught. And number two, apply reason to all your actions. Act like a rational human and not like a beast. So basically, don't let your emotions overtake you. So you can definitely feel the emotions, right? Like we're saying, like you're human. It doesn't matter. Like you have the hormones. You're gonna feel. You're gonna get those like that rage in you, or whatever it is, sadness, whatever it is that comes to your life, right? But the main point is not to act upon it and apply reason before you act, so that you're not acting like a beast that's just you see a bone and you just go crazy, you get the zoomies, and you start chomping at wood, you know so that those are some of the central tenets of it. And let me even bring up this other chart that I have over here that's going to kind of give a little more depth into stoicism as well. And here we have perception is key, turn obstacles into opportunities. So the event is not up to us, but the judgment is up to us, the judgment of the event. So if somebody sees so a non-stoic would see the event as an obstacle, and they would say, this sucks, my life is over. But the stoic would see the obstacle as not as a non-obstacle but an opportunity, and they would say, great, now I can practice patience, endurance, and calmness. So this is kind of the central tenet of what stoicism is, and I guess that kind of wraps up the idea of it. But Teddy, before we kind of move on and maybe get into the tier list and other things, do you kind of have more to say about that, like kind of what stoicism is, and even just maybe even what you think about this, like?
No, I mean this is exactly it. This is what I've been saying, right? That the Stoic to me is somebody who's able to go past the initial knee-jerk reaction to a situation that's not favorable to them, and they're able to look at it as as an opportunity, one way or another, for growth, for maturity. It just, what it comes down to at the end of the day is how you spin it, right?
Yeah,
And I feel like some of the idea, no, not the idea, some of the ways that stoicism was explained or broken down by some of those philosophers did not necessarily um fall in line with the way I see stoicism. I feel like it's something that has a very it's founded in a very simple, straightforward kind of idea, but
yeah,
then it gets, in my eyes, sometimes it gets over complicated for no reason, where we're adding on layers and layers and aspects to it that just muddy it more instead of making it clearer. Because if you ask me personally, the way that it was explained by certain philosopher, it is not practical. It's a lot of theoretical like a theoretical explanation of stoicism, where you have others who have, like the chart you just showed there, where it's a lot more practical, it's a lot more easily applicable in real life. And that's
yeah,
what they tend to gravitate to, more so than just, oh, how he sounds. Like, there's a time and a place for that, it's just, in conversations and stuff. But if we're trying to apply it to everyday life, it's not necessarily um user friendly, so to speak. So that's kind of my two piece on that.
Yeah, or people can just take it like in an extremist way, like where they just become completely apathetic to everything,
Yeah.
without ever acting. And there's some cool quotes on this, like Epictetus once said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things."
No,
Um,
it's so true because
you know?
and I heard this recently too, where somebody was like, "Hey, if somebody insults you, the only reason why you react to it is because you feel like there's some truth to it,
Yeah.
because you're on the level. Because if it's something you can't relate to, it's not going to affect you. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite quotes from like a Stoic philosopher is from Musonius Rufus, where he says, "We must concern ourselves absolutely with the things that are under our control and entrust the things not in our control to the universe." So he's basically saying, listen, I'm not saying don't concern yourself with anything. I'm saying, yeah, definitely become concerned with the things that you can control, things that you can change, and things that are in your power to change. Get in there, be concerned with them. Don't be apathetic to them. But with the things that you have zero control over, you can't. There's absolutely nothing you can do. Sometimes you had to just
what?
accept that and leave it all up to the universe or whatever it is you believe in. You know.
Yep.
And I definitely can see where that can apply. And of course, there's some instances like I think you mentioned, Teddy, with the children and with maybe your family. Something happens in your family. Like there's certain things you're not just gonna look up to this guy and say, "Well, I mean, that's just the universe." Like you're not you're not gonna do that.
The universe back at it again. I don't know what to tell you. Like, nah, come on.
Yeah, like that's just ridiculous, man. But
Yeah.
and uh And just for a few more quotes before we get into the tier list, Epictetus also said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." Um,
Ooh, okay.
that's kind of deep. That's kind of deep. It needs a little unpacking. And Seneca goes on to say this and kind of add on, where he says, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality."
Oh, yo, hey, yo, quote that, print that on a t-shirt, sell it because this is real.
Yeah. And I love how like literally like 5 minutes ago we are like just kind of crapping on stoicism, saying like, there's so many problems with it. But then they come out with this. They come out with bangers like this. You
That,
know what
that
I'm
no,
saying?
and this is the thing because like I said, like my issue was mainly with that initial premise where they say, "Oh, just you just have to." It basically the way I understood it was, don't be mad because it was just meant to be that way. It's like, no, just because it's meant to be that way doesn't mean that I don't get to be mad about it. I can decide how I respond to it ultimately. But if I want to be mad in the moment, let me be mad. Like, who are you to
Yeah.
dictate I'm gonna feel about it, right? So that was my thing. But yeah, after like once we get past the initial kind of setting up of that idea, the rest you
They
it's
start cooking.
yo, can you say that one more time? I feel like I heard that in my mind, man.
They say we suffer more often in imagination than in reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is even more relevant in modern society or a lot of people.
Yo, Teddy, okay, you know what? We're going to do two more quotes because you're going to love these. And then we'll go into the tier list.
Okay.
Marcus Aurelius, bro, one of the goats, he said, "Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference."
Ah! Oh, oh,
You're gonna love this though, Teddy. You're
oh,
gonna love this, and I think the people are gonna love this one. This one goes hard.
oh, that's
He
oh
said,
no,
and
wait.
this is from the same guy,
Over
Marcus
that.
Aurelius.
I'm
What?
not over that person. Oh no, no, let me
Oh
go.
my, Teddy, the
Go
hockey's
ahead, go
so
ahead.
strong, you're cutting out, bro.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He
My
said, check this out, because this might make you go crazy. Marcus Aurelius said, and this is, mind you, this is like in the olden days. He said, "Listen, someone despises me, that's their problem." You heard that?
yeah, it
It's
sounds
over.
personal issue.
As their personal, it's not my issue.
Ah, man,
So this is the kind of mentality these people had, and when you hear them say these things, you're just like, bro, they're just built different mentally. Like
it
these
just
Stoics, they're just built
if
different.
Learn to be indifferent to those things that make no difference. Like, come on, dog. That is a bar if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
Like this dude, he was putting in overtime in the kitchen cooking these up, man. Like that's a yeah, yeah, yeah.
And with that, I feel like we have a good idea of what kind of stoicism is. I created a short tier list. I don't want, like last time we had so many, so it went very long. I created a bit of a shorter one just so that we can kind of put some people on and on the list that we feel, and these are all anime characters, by the way. We're the pursuit of anime. We mix anime and philosophy. That's what we do. Um, and we're taking these anime characters, and what we're doing is we're putting them on a tier list from S being the highest and D being the lowest tier, S being the most stoic and D being the least stoic characters in anime. At least the ones that we have here. They're just a random concoction of characters. I could have made a bigger one. I'm sure Teddy had like some in mind, but I mean we'll probably definitely talk about ones we don't have on the list. But just from now, this is just a random set. um, let's just get into it, right, Teddy?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So here we have Kiritsuga from Fate Zero. How stoic do you think that he is?
See, he's a guy I definitely put in S for the simple fact that he does exactly what I was telling you about, where he still feels the emotions from like every time he has to do something that he'd rather not do and he has to kill people he'd rather not have to kill. And he he feels hurt. He experiences the pain from doing it, but at the same time, he realizes that that's what needs to be done to achieve this ideal world of peace that he envisions. And just the strength of his dedication and his willingness to do things that he doesn't even necessarily want to do. I have to put him in S.
Yeah, I think so too. For me, Kiritsuga is definitely an S. And there's this quote where Seneca says, "You are scared of dying, and tell me, is the kind of life you lead really any different from being dead?" And I feel like for Kiritsugu, this applies because throughout the story, he's not scared of dying. And I think it's because like the life that he led wasn't really that much different for him inside from being dead. He, especially towards the end of the show, he was just dead inside before he met Emiya, the young boy,
Chiro,
which
yeah, yeah.
actually like, kept him in the game for a little longer. But otherwise, like he was dead inside. He was like Big L said, he was born dead.
You,
Um
you know, I feel like what happened was he still had hope, right? Because the reason why he kept going through life and doing things that he did was he was hoping that it was for the greater good at the end of the day. But then with the Holy Grail War, he like I guess the Holy Grail made him face an extreme version of his type of peace. Because you remember the little riddle they kept giving him where it's like, okay, so if you have 100 people on a boat, but then the you have to kill, I don't know, 20 for the sake of the other 80, would you do it? He was like, yeah. He's like, okay, so then you have 80 left. Now, and so they kept doing that over and over. He was like, wait, no, that's not what I envisioned. So for him, having his idea, his philosophy on peace being broken down and reduced to an unachievable ideal, I think is really what broke him at the end of the day. And he thought it was all over until he found Shiro. But uh, yeah,
yeah.
that's a deeper, different conversation. But yeah, man, he gotta be. Do you understand the amount of like strength of the amount of mental fortitude it takes to look at your father and be like, "You're the problem. You need to go," and go forward with that, go through with it. That's insane.
Yeah, and I think like out of all these characters on this list, it's very underrated the amount of like rough rough events this guy went through, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
Seneca has this quote. Like I know, like you'll see One Piece, you'll see Naruto, and like they'll have these crazy worlds where they have all these like planet busting powers. In Fate, they don't have that. But the things that this man went through are just as equal as all the pain that even some of the roughest of these characters on this list went through. And Seneca has this quote: "We're naturally disposed to admire more than anything else the man who shows fortitude in adversity." And I think Kiritsugu is literally that man. You know, he's one of the quintessential stoic characters in anime. I think, in my opinion.
Uh,
Um, yeah, but let's what do you think about Deku? Um,
Deku. I mean, what letter does his name start with?
T.
I bet. No,
He's
man, I'm not gonna do that to him. No,
where
I think Deku is probably a solid. Um,
above Kiritsugu.
wow. Can we not do that? Can we not
Uh,
do that? I want. Okay. Put him in B. Put him in B.
okay.
Um, my thing with Deku, where I struggle,
Yeah.
is I feel like he hasn't had the kind of character defining moments that would make me want to put him in A, just in terms of um being actually, let me think about it because you could make an argument for A, seeing as his mindset of on what it means to be a hero doesn't waver regardless of the situations he finds himself in, regardless of the hardships he has to face. He's unwavering on his philosophy on what it means to be a hero. And he's always willing to do what is necessary within his power to make it happen. Honestly, he might be A. It's just so hard to think about it that way because of how much of a crybaby he can be at times. But if you think of it in terms of what we were saying earlier about how you can still feel the emotions, but then don't let them
But I don't see
become.
him as really. I don't see Deku as really being indifferent in the face of adversity, though. Like that's one quality I just never saw in him, really.
But would you say being indifferent in the face of adversity is always a determinant for being a stoic?
No, but it's
Because
one of the pillars, though. I
it,
would say because think about it this way, right? Like one of the I guess classic representation of what a stoic is, right? If the world is laughing at you and calling you a coward, a loser, a sinner, a stone face is the right face to have, because basically they are laughing at you, they're acting like a bunch of animals, but you are not giving them the satisfaction of a reaction. And Deku was just never that, man. You know, he got bullied and he was always, crying and acting weird, and even, I mean, he was following Bakugo like Bakugo was his boyfriend or something.
but think about it.
And mhm.
He never backed away from Bakugo. He never shied away from it.
He
Yeah,
never
he
backed
would
away,
cry.
which shows resilience, but it doesn't show stoicism. It's a different quality. Like stoicism is a specific thing.
Mm,
Like
I see
just
what you're
because
saying.
he's resilient doesn't mean he's
Yeah,
stoic. Like
yeah.
Luffy's resilient. Is he stoic though?
Well, that's a good
Does
question.
he leave shit up to nature? Does he leave things up to the logos? And does he,
Well, okay, so see, that's where I feel like, okay, I don't know if because just living it up to higher forces, to me, that's not, I don't know, because I associate being stoic with being powerful in yourself. And that mindset of I'm just gonna leave it up to the powers that be, that doesn't sound very powerful. So I don't know. I struggle
but
to
that's
have
the
the best
power
way
of
to.
stoicism. That's like the quote, like remember from Musonius Rufus, where he says, "Listen, control the things that are in your control, but the things that you can't control, leave it up to the universe."
Well,
Like
yes,
that's where you'll
that,
find strength. So
that
I think that might help you kind of rationalize it. Like think of a time where Deku had not like he had no hope. What did he do? You know what I'm saying? Remember, think about it like this, Teddy. Asta and Natsu, right?
Yeah.
Remember when Natsu faced acting Logia, and remember when Asta lost his hands or whatever it was, he lost his powers, right?
Hmm.
Think about how they handled it. You know what I'm saying? And I think those moments is where you'll find like it's easy to find a stoic. Do you think Deku's had a moment like that? I think he has. Um, and he recently actually, I don't remember what the event was that caused it, but remember he went through his kind of rogue phase, and that's kind of my argument for why he wouldn't be in C or D. He
Yeah.
definitely has some level of stoicism to him, where he's like he became really hardened by the event that it was. I forgot what it was exactly, but it was around the time that he was fighting Lady Nagant. Um, but then he has other moments too when he was a kid. Remember, and he saw that he had no quirks. He really wanted to be like a hero, and you saw his reaction when he found out he'll never be a hero. He just cried. He just kept crying and crying and crying. Um, and that definitely isn't a Stoic's reaction to that. But of course, he is a kid, so you got to give him some leeway there.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Mm.
So it's tough. Like there's moments of it and there's moments not of it, which was why I would put him in B.
Yeah, I feel like B is right where
Yeah.
it needs to be. Yeah.
At least for now, let's think about it because we're gonna. There's not that many on here, so we might have a chance to kind of think about it, and then we could rearrange if need be.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Luffy, man? Do you think that he's like he's got that stoic that stoicism in him?
No, he does not. Just think about what happened recently in Wano
Yeah,
when he thought that his crew got decimated. What did he do? He just went straight after Kaido and got one-shotted, right?
yeah,
And ended up in jail and everything. So that that doesn't sound like the response a stoic individual would have. I feel like Law will have more of an argument for being that
yeah,
because he has a habit of just being very pragmatic and analytical about everything that he does. Like he always moves with a lot of care. Like he can be in a situation where there are forces outside of his control affecting him, but he'll still find a way to uh
yeah.
work around, this that situation. So
But
I feel like yeah. Mhm.
what do you think about this, Teddy? So with the Kaido example you brought up, right? And I'm not even like disagreeing. I do think he's either D or C or something. He's definitely on the lowest tier. Like, but what would you say if like he viewed it at, when he fought Kaido, right? We may view it as like, oh, he's not going to beat him. He should just give up and leave it up to the universe, if he was truly a stoic. But in his mind, what if he thought this is not something out of my control? I've gotten through this whole world by fighting, and I should be able to fight him. Even if I lose, I should be able to fight him and get stronger in this fight and beat him eventually because that's just how I do it. I'm the Shonen main character. Because there's this other moment, right? To me, which makes me rethink that moment with Kaido, right? And it's the Logtown moment where Luffy's at the gallows and there's no hope. It's completely out of his control whether he's gonna live or die, and he just leaves it. He just says, "Well, I guess I'm dead." And
Yeah.
that moment to me is quintessentially stoic. But for me, that's the only moment I've seen from him. But it
Mhm.
is such a powerful moment, though. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know what's it like. How
It
to
is a very powerful
what
moment
would you say to that?
because I think Oda does this thing on purpose where he will have very particular events take place that are supposed to give you an idea of what that character is all about. And I think that was one of the clearest depictions you probably ever see in all of anime in terms of a character that has that, stoicism about them. But see, the problem is he can be so reactionary at times where Zoro is the one that needs to set him back on track. So
Yeah.
uh
And he does seem to get easily riled up though in other scenes, like
yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying. Where it's like, okay, you do have that thing, but I feel in his situation, it's almost like he needs to be forced to accept it because even with Buggy in lockdown, he did for a while try to get out, which I mean
Yeah, yeah.
makes sense. Like you're not just gonna sit there and be executed. If there's something you can do about it, do it. But then it's when he figures, okay, well, I've tried everything and it doesn't work, right? So I feel like he's the type he would try everything he can before he finds himself in a situation where he has to accept the outcome. So
I don't
and
know. Do you think C? You think we should just gift him C?
you know what? Let's put him in B. Let's put him right next to
B?
B.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'll put him there. Yeah.
It's tough. We had to rethink it because he was gonna. I my initial thought was D, but then I rethought it and I was like, no,
Remember,
C.
remember
And now you're
looked
saying
yeah.
B, so I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, he's climbing up the ranks because he does have moments where he shows just like that cool, calm, collected demeanor about him. Like
Yeah,
remember on the roof when he first got up there and he walked past Big Mom and Kaido like they weren't even there. And I'm like, my guy, those are some heavy balls you carry in there to be walking past them like that, like they're nothing. So
yeah,
yeah, I'd say yeah, B. Yeah, B is good for him for
yeah,
now. Maybe we have to rethink that.
yeah. What about Levi?
Oh, that's an
Levi
easy yeah.
Ackerman?
Oh, that's an easy yes.
Easy yes,
Oh,
bro.
easy yes. Like I bro, when they got pulled on pawn by Kenny, his uncle,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
found
I
a way
remember
to
that.
handle that completely unexpected situation. Whenever in most recent season, whenever um what's his name? Zeke had some of his spinal fluid in the wine that everybody drank, so he tried to escape and he turned all of Levi's men into titans. He was angry. He was emotionally compromised, but you know what? He still did what he had to do at the end of the day, and he killed. There are too many times in this story that this man has been tried emotionally, and every single time he does what he needs to do.
Yeah,
He understands what needs to be done, and he does it consistently. The whole thing with Erwin, right before Erwin was about to die, and he told him, "No, you can't do this." But then he was given his stats like, "No, forget how you personally feel. This is what needs to happen." He went ahead and did it every single time. He keeps being faced with difficult decisions, and he rises up. I don't know what else to say, man.
yeah. I agree. I completely agree. Like you see all of these quotes, like it's not about what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters by Epictetus, and you just see the way that Levi like acts, and I think it's one of the central ideas, like kind of that helps me understand Stoicism. Imagine if these characters were at the face of death, how would they react to it? And
Yeah,
I don't see Levi's face changing
no,
from that face if he's about to die. And we
yes.
know Kiritsugo's didn't change when he was about to die. You know,
You know
so it,
something I find in common so far with the guys in the S tier,
yeah,
they've had some really rough or traumatizing events in their childhood, in their upbringing,
yeah,
that has fortified them and made them have that stoic approach to life,
yeah,
where
yeah,
there's nothing else that can face me at this point. I've seen literally the worst you can see, and I'm here. So yeah.
yeah. Fortitude is definitely something, and I think like you were bringing up a good point in your definition of stoicism, and that's definitely like something I want to get into in a part two of stoicism. The way we think about stoicism too, like our thoughts on it, how we would apply it to life, if we think it's actually valid to apply to life.
Oh, I
We
already got
definitely,
notes down for that. I'm ready
yeah,
whenever.
yeah, we definitely want to get into that. Trust me, this is just the beginning. This is just like I said, this is just a 101 on like kind of what it is, kind of understanding it a little bit, and just laying the foundation because we're gonna get into some awesome stuff on this channel. But But yeah, let's move on to Ray. And I know you're not really fond of this anime,
Why
Evangelion.
why do we have an Evangelion character on here?
We had it on the last one, man. Who was it? Shinji or something?
Yeah. I feel like I know why you have her here because I was looking at
Yeah,
articles of like about stoicism and anime and all that stuff, and there's somebody, I don't know who it was, that made a list of 10 of the most stoic characters in anime, and she was on there. I'm like, wait, what? Just because you have like a, I mean, I don't know. She
like a
does
calm
strike
demeanor.
me. She does strike me as a stoic type because it seems like nothing ever phased her. Nothing ever made her like have a strong emotional response. She
Yeah,
just seemed to glide through everything. So I could see it. Honestly, just off of that, yeah, probably A. Probably A.
maybe I think she's a solid representative of A
Yeah.
because the way that she basically what she was is she was like an experiment, right, or something from the father of Shinji
Yeah.
of some sort, and she just didn't care about anything, man. She was stone faced. I remember Shinji loved her. Um, I remember she kept me going through the series when I was watching it because I did not, I was
She
not
was the
enjoying it.
highlight of the series for me too. I don't
Yeah,
anybody else.
yeah, I was literally just like waiting for each episode to go by just so I could see her again. And I remember the only time she really like showed any emotion was when Shinji bowed mouth his father, and she came and she just slapped the shit out of him.
Mhm.
Um, but that was about it. Like she faced near death, she could care less, you know. So she's definitely, I think, a good embodiment of like stoicism. Maybe not exactly 100% stoic philosophy, like, but her, at least by the demeanor, it gives off that vibe that she would be a stoic. But I think this next guy will have a lot more, meat to unpack. Pause. Itachi Uchiha. Where does he go, man?
Where do you think he goes?
Let me see. Itachi. So this is the thing. Itachi is a person who had to. He was a normal person growing up, and he had to repress his emotions and become this dark, almost like raven, like a dark crow, right? He had to become the darkness in order to basically protect his light, which was Sasuke. And to me, the what he became, what he embodied, who he was, and the way he just accepted his death towards the end, it was kind of all for Sasuke. But at the end of the day, even if it was all for Sasuke, I think he was a good embodiment of stoicism, and I would put him in either A or S. Now I don't know if you agree, Teddy, but that's the way that I see it. He seems like one of those like really wise, really calm, never really phased at all. Um, and and yeah, that's the way I see Itachi.
Anytime I've seen this man fight, I have never seen him be taken, like caught off guard, worried, sweating. Never. Add to that the fact that this man, he decimated his entire clan. He was in tears when he killed his parents,
Yeah,
but they understood that's what he needed to do. He understood that's what he had to do. That was his duty, and he carried it out. I don't know if he gets much higher than that. So, yeah, he's got to be S.
yeah.
He's got to be S.
Even that fight with Kabuto, where Kabuto pulled out all stops, he just didn't seem to even care, man. It was
Yo,
like
that line when he said see, this is oh gosh, this goes into that part two on stoicism that we're going to cover, but I guess I'll just give you a little teaser right here. This is, to me, what I believe should be one of the character traits of a stoic individual is always having some kind of plan or backup for that plan if that first one doesn't fail, like preparation. But I'm not going to go too much into that. But the
yeah,
reason why I bring this up is because Itachi told Kabuto when he did that, when they were fighting him, every jutsu has a weakness, and for you, your weakness of your jutsu is my existence. My
bro.
guy, my guy. Understand that he had a deep understanding of a lot of jutsus, and he was able to figure out, listen, the way I work this thing out, I'm your weakness, bro. My existence is your weakness. Put some respect on Itachi's name, man. He's a top of ass, man. Let's go.
Yeah, he's already there. He's already there automatically.
Yeah.
What do you think about Sanji from
Now
One Piece?
Sanji's my boy. I love Sanji. You
Yeah,
know this. Why would
I'm
you
good.
put
That's
him
why I'm
on
gonna
this?
let you cook, bro. That's why I'm gonna let you cook, bro. You gotta.
uh
Hey, man, listen. No shame because it's just a stoic list. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
if they're in D, it just means they take a more happy, carefree approach to life. Well, I mean, stoicism is kind of carefree, but you know
I,
what I'm saying.
yeah, I know what you're saying.
They just got a different approach to life. That's all. There's nothing wrong with it.
I feel like he is a pretty good stoic in the definition of the term, like how we're approaching it, because for during whole cake when he decided to go away and basically take the hit for his crew, is because he accepted the fact that they were dealing with a Yonko crew, and they're able to, and the crew, that Yonko crew is able to decimate the Straw Hats if
Yeah,
they so chose, right? Because Big Mom is a force of nature. So he understood that and he moved accordingly. It was a decision based in a lot of logic and common sense, right? Because at first he didn't want to, but then he was presented with all the facts. And I feel like the irrational or emotional response would have been, I'm gonna wait for my captain. When he pulls up, we're gonna whoop your asses and something of that nature. But no, he thought about everything and decided, this is for the best. So he took it upon himself to do that.
yeah.
Um, but I believe one of the tenets of Stoicism is that you shouldn't let yourself indulge in some of the basic carnal desires or pleasures in life or whatever, which my boy Sanji,
Oh,
we struggle.
the
We
carnal
struggle.
obligations.
Ah, he answers his carnal desires on a regular basis, let me tell you. So I don't know, man. I'm tempted to put him in B as well.
And remember, when he found out about pudding, he was not unfazed. He was a wreck, man.
No, yeah, yeah. He was that really hurt him. So that
And that
broke.
was with someone he basically just met, man.
Yeah,
So where would you put him? B?
yeah.
Let's do B.
I think B. Unless you want to put him
No, I think B.
for D.
B or C. What do you think? Do you think C? Because is he
Maybe
really
not.
on that level of like Luffy and Deku?
I
Because
mean,
they had big moments. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Especially Luffy, he had a big moment with that
With
Loketown thing.
another thing too. Remember when Usopp left the crew
Yeah,
and Luffy was just ready to welcome him back? Zoro told him we can't do that because he essentially committed mutiny by turning against his captain. So he needs to follow the proper procedure when he comes back, right? He needs to do it the right way. And Sanji was right there with him, which they
yeah,
always disagree on most things, but he was like, "Nah, man, he's got a point there." So yeah, I think he does have that. Um, ability to be rational like a stoic. So I
yeah.
probably
True,
put him
true.
in B. I probably put him in
And I
B.
think one defining moment too is like, remember when the Straw Hats were separated? That
Yeah.
was a hopeless situation. That was a situation like, well, hey man, like it's over now. But basically, all the Straw Hats kind of gained a plus 1 in Stoicism because they
Through that
they took it.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they took it upon themselves like, nah, I'm not just gonna like sit here and like wallow in, the sorrow of losing everybody. I'm
Mm.
gonna get better. Even somebody like Chopper, they're like, yo, I'm gonna start studying medicine. So yeah, they definitely do get a +1. So what do you think about Kanade from Angel Beats, the angel herself, the
Ah
white
man,
haired stone faced killer?
I feel like she probably be high up on this list. I don't remember clearly her character because it's been a while, but from what I can recall, she's probably at least a A.
Yeah, she's a killing machine, dude. I would put her in A, maybe top of A, She's basically one of those quintessential like stoic philosophy, but also just like lowercase stoic, like stone face, because the thing is like they're in the limbo, they're in the afterlife, so she's already experienced death, you know? And
Mhm.
that's kind of hardened her to the way of life and everything. So I definitely would put her an A. Now let's get
Do
into
you
a
have
true
is
stoic.
that Wapple I see there?
Yeah,
Why
man.
is
Look at
Wapple there?
he's munching on a chicken drumstick, bro.
I'm not even
Right here, baby. Right above Itachi, right there. It's where he belongs. On his rightful throne, the king.
I don't know why we're doing this. It's
Well,
it's so unnecessary.
I think
That's
he's an automatic D, dude. I can't think of a single moment this dude was stoic in his life. Every
no.
challenge that came upon his way, he was sweating, he was freaking out, he was like, yeah, so this dude is and he's a simple-minded buffoon. He's an
Yeah,
absolute moron.
he's extremely cowardly as well. Like D. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I can't.
this is a D.
Yeah, no.
Hey, we had to have somebody at D.
I mean, I see a couple other people. Yeah, man. I don't know.
Oh shit, here we go. Let's see. Oh, okay, so let's see about a good one. Here we have Gara from One Piece. I think that he he is at least like A for me because like of course he kind of fits like Ray and Kanade where he has this stoic demeanor, right? And but he's been through a lot of stuff just like the people in S tier. So man, it just depends the way you look at it, right? And especially towards the end, like when he becomes the what do they call the Kage from the Sand Village? What is it called? Is he the
The
Mizu Kage?
Kazekage.
Kaze Kage, yeah.
Yeah.
That name goes so hard. When he became the
It,
Kaze Kage, he definitely had some quotes in there that were like kind of a little stoic-esque. So I could definitely see that from him. What do you see in Guard? Do you see that? Do you maybe think he just fits lower than A or
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, he's definitely an A. I feel like his character went from a C to an A because you remember when he was much younger, he was really murder prone. Anything that got under his skin, he wanted to kill. I'll
yeah.
never forget that time when after his fight with Lee, he tried to pull up in the hospital and kill Lee in his hospital bed. I'm like, bro, are you that triggered? Why are you so mad at this man right now? So but then after dealing with Naruto and all that, he kind of came around and he became that, cool, collected individual who, even in the face of overwhelming adversity, he's always remaining calm and trying to take the best course of action. So I definitely give him an A.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me put him in A. I'll put him above Ray. Gotta give some respect to one of the
Yeah.
goats. Now another Naruto character, Sakura Haruno. Oh my god.
Sakura, she was honestly, as a stoic, she was amazing because she stuck through thick and thin with with Naruto. And there were times where it was a little bit touch and go there, but ultimately, she decided like this is like I'm like a pillar for Team Seven, and until we get back together, I need to be that source of strength and stability. And none of what I'm saying right now I actually believe, but I felt like I needed to do that before I completely destroy her, because if there is anything lower than D is where she belongs.
Oh my, even under Wapo, bro.
No,
Look at
there
that.
there were two transgressions that she made in the story. This The way I look at it is there is no way you're a stoic doing these things. The first one was when she saw how much Naruto was putting himself through to honor his promise to her to bring back Sasuke. She decided the best course of action was lie to this man that she's in love with him so that he would stop trying to bring Sasuke back. Why would you do that? Why would you boldly lie to the man's face like that?
I hate her so much.
That is not that those are not the traits of a stoic individual. A stoic individual would try to use whatever means are with are are within their abilities to remedy the situation, which is what she did after when when she tried to kill Sasuke by herself, right? So that to me would qualify more with what a stoic individual would do,
Yeah.
taking matters into your own hands, doing what is within your power to do.
But you know what?
Except, even
Yeah.
with that, at some point, she opened her big mouth and said, "Hey, you know what? I will go to the ends of the world with you, even in this situation." Just, I was, ah, it just never ends with her. It just
Yeah,
never
bro.
ends. Even when there's a little glimmer of hope, you just get thrown into the pits of darkness with her. So, no, 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 she shouldn't even be on here.
Yeah. And she just the way she even reacted to Sasuke leaving the village, like she just starts going crazy, frantic, like, bro, just accept it. He doesn't even like you. Why can't you just accept it? Like
Yeah,
that's
he
the
didn't even
opposite of
like
what a
her.
stoic is. She just doesn't accept anything. She doesn't have any logic, any knowledge about anything, even the most basic things. I bet you this bitch can't even fucking boil an egg.
Hey,
She's
yo.
absolutely useless. I hate Sakura more than anything in life, and I want people to know this. If I would rather be impaled with a spear through the chest, through the heart, and die while having a spear through me than be in the same room with Sakura. I hate Sakura so much. She is the bane of my existence, and she is in no way an embodiment of what stoicism is. When she saw him after a few years, she wanted to be with him and join him. She was ready to betray everybody and join him and kill Naruto.
Mm,
Like that is not what a stoic does. Like a stoic would be like, no, like this man is evil. I'm just gonna accept it. And you know what? That's one of the problems with Deku too. They can accept that these evil people are evil. They just can't accept it. So, listen, I know last podcast we talked about like how, I don't think that maybe evil is completely inherent. I mean, I feel like we all have these qualities dormant in us, right? But
yeah,
I wouldn't say you're just like born evil or born good, right? I believe that these things kind of you may be predisposed to it, but it all depends on your upbringing. You can definitely be steered a certain way. But of course, there's outliers to this. There's people that are born in beautiful circumstances that turn out evil, and there's people that are in horrible circumstances turn out good, right? But the
yeah.
problem is these people, the way they react to these situations, they see evil, like Sasuke and Shigaraki, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna change him. Oh, I like him." Like what, bro? If you don't stop with this Twilight fantasy, this is ridiculous. You need some help. You need some milk. This is
Give me some
unbelievable.
milk.
And Sakura definitely wanted that milk.
Oh,
Um,
she's
but
suffering from some calcium deficiency. She needed a different type of C in her.
yeah.
But
So
listen,
yeah, that's what I'm saying about Sakura, man. I can't
no,
believe
I,
it.
I understand. I understand how you feel. The only reason why I would give Naruto a pass is because his thing with Sasuke, he finally understood Sasuke. Remember, that was the issue
Yeah,
in their first fight, was that Naruto, he didn't get Sasuke because Sasuke, he had family, he had bonds that were taken away from him. Where
yeah,
Naruto, he had none of that to start with. So that's why he didn't understand. But then through losing Sasuke to Orochimaru and then losing Jiraiya, that's when he finally really understood also that's what it feels like. So that's why he's always in so much pain. So when he ended up saving Sakura's useless behind when she was about to get killed by Sasuke, he turned around to him and was like, you know what? Now I get you. Now
yeah.
I'm really going to save you because I get you. So that's why I'm gonna give Naruto a pass.
And
Deku
you know the
though, I
difference?
can't, I can't, I can't save him. he's,
You know
he's
the
on his own.
difference? You know the difference too, Teddy, between like Sakura and Naruto?
Mm.
And it goes back to the quote, control the things that you can control, but the things that are out of your control, hey man, just put your hands up and leave it up to the
It
universe.
is what it is.
Yeah, like with Naruto, he could control it because the way he saw it is like, look, I understand Sasuke now, right? Next time I see him, when I get my hands on him, and we all knew this, Naruto was gonna open up a can of whoop ass on Sasuke and knock the sense back into him. You know, because he has that power, he has the capability to do that. Sakura never had the capability to change anything regarding Sasuke. It was completely out of her control, and she wouldn't even leave it up to universe, let alone leave it up to Naruto. She wouldn't leave it up to anybody. She was just being an irrational moron throughout the entire series about it all, and that just does not qualify her as a stoic. But moving on,
Yeah, you really went crazy on Sakura.
but moving on, Princess Mononoke, man, she's definitely gonna end up high on this list because she is the embodiment of the logos, and I feel like you're gonna hate that, but she's the embodiment of that first central tenet of Stoicism, where whatever happens, it's just the way that nature has ordained it, and if it's out of her control, she's not gonna do anything about it. Like she's just gonna leave it up to the greater will. Things in her control, she's gonna fight, rationally, and but also she has a B side to her too. But because she has that B side, it ties her into nature itself. So Princess Mononoke, I think that she's a big, like one of the big quintessential embodiment, representations in anime of Stoicism, because you see her with that stone face, you see her with nothing that happened in the story phasing her, and that ideology of hers where she believes in the, the forest entities, and she believes in nature, and she believes there's this greater power that steers like all things in life, and all things in life that happen are for a greater good. She embarks on a journey to stop this, kind of like industrialization. um, of course you could see that as irrational, but I don't think it's irrational, because of course that stuff is in her power to change. So she is acting like a true stoic in going out and fighting that good fight, which that's one of the central things I think we should highlight about Stoicism too. Stoicism will not tell you to sit down, lay on your butt, and accept defeat. Stoicism, encourages you to go out and fight the good fight, and try your best, and do what you can. But when you 100% know that you can't do something, don't force it. Don't overtrain. Don't overexert yourself. Don't waste your energy, is the best way I can put it, on something that you can't control. You literally can't. So what do you think about Princess Mononoke, bro? I would put her in A
uh,
or S. I'll leave it up to you with that.
uh, dude, I don't know, man. Believe it or not, I've never watched Princess Mononoke. So
You never
I
seen it?
believe, no, I believe your judgment.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. I'll put her in low S because
Okay.
these guys are very, very stoic. Um, I feel like she's a complete. She's not. She's like a complete opposite end of the spectrum of S, where these guys are stoic because of what they've been through. She's not stoic because of anything she's been through. She's not been through much. She's
She's
literally just
naturally like
stoic.
that.
Yeah, just naturally, she's just built that way. It's the way of life for her. So
Man,
it's
the
different.
definition of build different right there.
Yeah, it's
Princess
just,
Mononoke.
yeah. You got to check it out. It's one of the best Ghibli films for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, it's actually got like an interesting plot and everything. Oh my gosh, here we go. The goat Zoro. I'm gonna let you cook because I've been cooking a little bit on Sakura.
No, 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 you're fine, man. Keep cooking,
What?
keep
What do
cooking.
you
The thing is, we
listen?
already done so much with Zorro that I feel like anybody that's been listening to us at this one, they'll be like, man, they're gonna put this dude in ass. Like it's not
Yeah,
even funny.
they
Like
already
it's
know.
too much, man. There's too many. Nothing happened. Literally, nothing
Nothing
happened.
happened.
That's all I need to say.
If I
That's
die,
all I
that
need to
just means I
say.
was too weak. Remember
That's
that?
that's all I need, bro. That's all I. When he fought
Nothing happened.
Mihawk, right? When he fought Mihawk,
Yeah,
and he finally realized, yeah, I'm way outclassed. What did he do? Hey, I'm gonna let you finish me up because clearly I'm not up to the level I need to be. You're stronger than me. Like no amount of struggling will change that very cold hard fact right now.
yeah,
So go ahead. Stoic as he gets, he's S, man.
yeah. Well, let me just ask you this real quick, and this will kind of give another teaser for the next episode. But like, because if we, let's just assume that stoicism is good, right? That we should all have some type of stoic quality to us, or we should start implementing it, right? Should we put ourselves in those situations like Zoro, where we're kind of like near the brink of of fully, maybe not the brink of death, of course, but like fully exerting ourselves, right, in life. Should we
Being
put ourselves in the
tested.
should we test ourselves to build our fortitude and our stoicism? Like, is that valuable to us as humans, Teddy?
Maybe, maybe. It just really, I hate saying this because I feel like as I get older, that's the answer to a lot of questions. But it depends. It
Yeah,
depends. I feel like you should do it occasionally just because something I believe no human being should ever be is soft. You
yeah,
should always work to be like, you don't need to be battle hardened, of course, but have some backbone, have some like uh, s- like build a strong enough character that you're able to withstand some of the worst life can throw at you. And if you never put yourself in those situations, then you might not be able to respond accordingly when life throws you into those situations. So I'll leave it at that for now.
yeah. And I'll just really quickly chime in with this. Like, you see all the I think stoicism is prevalent for this society because you see all these videos of like young people, youth acting up in public, people just going crazy, having, public freak out compilations on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I feel like people can benefit from stoicism. People can benefit from, if somebody bumps into you at Target and they start talking crap like, "Oh, what you gonna do with it?" Like this, that, having a stone face and just walking away can definitely benefit you. And that's where I think stoicism can be super uber beneficial. Whereas when you go to the extreme side of like, oh, somebody in your family dies, you got to just act like you don't give a crap. It's just this universe. No, but what in the everyday life, people are pestering you. People are trying to provoke you, trying to call you out for a fight or something. Walking away, acting like you could literally care less about it, is the best thing you can do. And that's why Luffy belongs in B, because he did that perfectly with Bellamy, and Zoro did that too. You remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a great example. Like, Nami was looking at Luffy and Zoro, and Bellamy was like beating up on them, and she's like, "Why are you doing anything?" And they just walked away. They could literally be unbothered, and they were being spit on, slapped, thrown across the floor, mopped,
You
mopping the
know
floor with
the
their
quote
faces.
that comes back to my mind when I think
Yeah,
about moments like this is learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference.
yeah,
That's what this was right there. It's like whether or not they beat up Bellamy at that point in time would have made no difference because they
yeah,
already knew where they were at mentally and what they think about their journey and going on adventures.
yeah,
So man's dreams never die. But yeah.
yeah. I'm already excited for part two now because this is already fire, this conversation. But let's talk about Saber from Fate, Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, Unlimited Blade Works. I think she, for me, I don't know. It's either a B or an A. Definitely not S. She's been through a lot. She has like a cool, calm, collected mentality to her, but she hasn't really shown me those big like moments where she's just like, well, I guess this is just in the universe's hands or whatever now, you know? And I mean, maybe part of that has to do with the series because
That's what I was gonna
there's no
say.
chance to
Maybe
show
it's
that
like, yeah, like
because
she
she's
it
working under
wasn't
the
given
will of
that
her master.
opportunity. From what I've seen, I mean, like you said, she has a very cool, calm, collected demeanor,
Yeah,
and um, she rarely ever gets in situations when she starts panicking. I've seen her handle situations with such poise that I was left speechless. I was like, "Yo, she handled that."
yeah,
And she almost always seemed to have an answer for any issue that they came across, in especially specifically in terms of like from a battle sense. Only time that I saw her kind of be at her wits' ends was against Gilgamesh, but that's Gilgamesh, so
yeah.
you know that's understandable. So I probably put her at A,
Let's
um,
do it.
yeah, like a
Let's
low
do
A.
it.
That's good.
All right, now Hinata from Haikyuu. Now he has like this kind of thing where like he's lost games before, and there's sometimes where he'll be like distraught by it, but more often than not, I've seen him growing into more of the person that when he loses, he uses it as an opportunity to enrich himself and get better at the sport, right? So instead of looking at it as a negative, he'll look at it as a positive. And I think this is kind of the core quality of stoicism. That's what happened to Zeno of Citium, right? He got shipwrecked. When he got shipwrecked, he didn't look at it as a bad thing. He looked at it as a good thing because he looked at it as an opportunity.
An opportunity.
Exactly. So I feel like Hinata does have some stoicism, and I feel like athletes as a whole, kind of because of the nature of sports and getting better at them, you will get some level of stoicism out of them, and this is where they can be beneficial, and this is where stoicism can be applied to everyday life. Now, I don't know if
I,
I would put him in B or A, maybe
I
C.
no, I can't even put him in
Oh,
C for the simple fact that remember, in volleyball, after they lose a point, what they say? More hippo. We're moving on to the next one. That's
yeah,
literally like what stoicism is all about. Like, hey, we're done.
A. Let's
This
do it
already happened. We can't go back in time and replay the point, right? We already lost the point. Let's move on to the next one. We'll get it on the next one. That's their thinking every single time. So I feel like almost anybody in the cast of Haikyuu is already at a B at the very low,
at
at
the
the very
very least.
lowest, at the very least.
Yeah,
So and then we have somebody like Hinata who has a different type of like
drive for it.
yeah, exactly. Right. So I have to put him at
Yeah,
A.
that's true. That's true. What do you think about Genos from One Punch Man?
Um, wait, who? Genos?
Yeah, the robot cyborg.
Oh yeah, that's
Saitama's
right.
sidekick.
For whatever reason, I looked at that picture and it reminded of me of Moomin Rider. Genos, Genos, he's probably also like pretty high, um, because he just has such a like almost like a formatted approach to life where he sees something happen is like okay that needs to be handled or he always has that approach, right? He's like he sees a problem or situation, he just thinks okay, how do we need to resolve this? What they put my master in C, let me go handle it. Like every time, right? He'll have that mindset of if there's a problem here, we need to fix it. He will take it to the absolute extreme. And we've seen that twice in the story. Once when there was that meteor that came down on Z City,
Yeah,
and he was willing to just nuke himself for the sake of stopping that meteor when he tried everything and he couldn't do anything. He's like, well, I guess this is it. I tried, just come and get me. And then even before that, against Mosquito Girl, who by the way, Murata had no business making her look so sexy. But Mosquito Girl, right? When he fought her, it got to a point where he was getting destroyed and only his core was left. And he figured, I'm not able to fire blasts anymore. The only thing I can do is turn myself into a nuclear bomb and just evaporate this whole area with her, and hopefully that takes her out. So that's that mindset. Like he's really willing to accept outcomes and understand what he needs to do at any given point in time. And when he's tried everything, he acknowledges that he's tried everything. So honestly, it's looking like S to me. But you tell me how you feel.
yeah, I do see that. I yeah, there's some moments like little
It's
moments,
weird, right? Because he doesn't strike you like automatically as that type. But then when I break down to you all those different instances in the story, you realize, wait a minute, that just might be it. So yeah, but I mean,
but there are moments where you do see him face a little, not face like in terms of battle or anything, but like when somebody like badmouths Saitama or something, or they don't like recognize who he is. He's like, yo, like, why don't you do it? Why don't you just show your power? Like, why? Like, I can't believe these people are treating you like this. You know what I'm saying? Where Saitama, he just could care less. You know what I'm saying? Saitama makes Genos look like a baby, like an irrational baby, while Saitama's like the stoic one in that situation. So there are some situations where he isn't completely stoic. He does let his emotions sway him a little bit, and kind of makes him act out irrationally. But
But I feel
he,
like on average though,
on average, the other moments outweigh it. So for me, he would be A or S. I'll put him in low S, because he's obviously not on the level of the others, but
yeah.
like completely. But he's definitely in that sphere, around that sphere. What do you think about Ash Ketchum, bro? Let me tell you something about Ash Ketchum.
You
So
tell me everything because I don't
here's
know
the thing. What? What? You never saw Pokemon?
I I've seen it, but the amount of content I've consumed from Pokemon is makes me unqualified to speak on this man's name.
Listen, man, this is the thing about him, bro. Year after year, he will try to become like the Pokemon master, and he will always fail. But after all these years, he's never given up, bro. He has never given up. And
No, I feel like I have to stop you right there because that's resilience. And you told me when we
yeah,
started earlier that we can't use that. So
yeah. No, but this is the thing. He's never given up, right? But this is basically morphed him to become more stoic, because the thing is, he now goes into the Pokemon fights, right? Like the Pokemon battles. When you saw the first original anime from Pokemon, right? You would see him show a lot of emotion in these battles. He would just worry about all his Pokemon, right? Like he would always worry, and he would always like get mad and shit. But throughout the years, now you see, like, if you look up like more recent fights, he's a lot different. He's a lot more composed. He's a lot more stoic, which is the only reason why I would put him like maybe at a C, because he's grown out of it, right? Now, like, this is the thing. Like, I'm glad you brought that up with the resilience, because again, like, there's one thing to highlight for anybody listening. Resilience does not equate to stoicism. It's something that definitely can be like cultivated from stoicism, and it's one of the things that's like derived from it, right? Or goes hand in hand with it. But it is not what it is. Like, it's a whole philosophy. And Watch Ketchum does have some stoicism to him. He does not have a whole lot. I feel like Luffy, Deku, Sanji, and Hinata, they're kind of like the average for stoicism. They're like, if you and I were stoic steady, we would look a lot like these guys, right? And of course, the S tier, that's like what the embodiment of stoicism, and that's probably what Zeno and all these guys were walking around ancient Greece looking like. But Ash Ketchum, he's like below average. I would say he's like a C for me.
that's where he belongs.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely not like Walpole or Sakura, but above that, and definitely not on the level of Luffy and Deku. What do you think about this guy though, Teddy? I know you love Dragon Ball Z. What do you think about Broly?
Yeah, I do love Dragon Ball Z. I don't like Dragon Ball Super though.
Yeah, I hate Dragon
Um,
Ball Super.
Broly, I feel like he's a D, and I'll tell you why.
Oh
Uh,
shit.
I hate doing this because I feel like a bully, but this man, every time he sees Kakarot, he goes crazy. So I'm like, that is such a highly emotional response. Then all the other time, he seems like he doesn't have a brain. Like it's a difference between when you're being consciously stoic because that's you're doing it on purpose, like you have command over it, versus where you're just existing, gliding through life. You don't really have a thought, and then the only thought you get is Kakarot. Like no, 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 no.
Yeah,
I give D for me at least. Like I just
yeah, I think the same. Like this dude. I mean, first of all, his character doesn't even have that much depth to begin with. Yeah, and you're gonna tell me he's a stoic? Like, come on, bro. Like, get out of here, man. Like,
mm.
this dude is on the bottom tier. Like, he's lucky to even be in the list. You know, I put him in as a last resort, just in case everybody else was somehow above C and above, we at least had somebody put in D.
Yeah,
So
it's just throw some trash in there.
yeah, you gotta throw some trash in the list, just so that
Oh no, you know
Oh, and
what?
speaking of trash, here's a Chopper, your favorite, Teddy.
Oh wow, speaking of trash, that transition is crazy. uh Listen, man, Chopper.
Hey,
So when
don't forget what I
or
said earlier about
what?
the time skip. He was faced with a impossible situation, some adversity, and he started studying his doctor stuff.
Um,
you know, Teddy's like, I don't give up.
no, no, it's not
I
even
don't
that.
care about
I'm
that.
just like I'm generally trying to give him a an accurate rating based on what we've seen from him. The problem is he's always so reactionary. He seems to get easily flustered by situations around him. Like even recently in Onigashima with the playgrounds from Queen in the man trying to come up with the antidote and everything. I'm just trying to remember like
Oh yeah, he got bodied by
how
ice, bro. I'll
how
never
he
forget that.
how he handled that. I mean that's just like, this is a different type of feat. Like I'm just trying to think like a stoic individual in that situation, there would have been well, I feel like he kind of showed a little bit of that when he was looking for the antidote because he figured if he has that on him, he probably has something to counter it in case he gets accidentally hit by it. So
Yeah.
then if I can get it my hand on it. So there was a good amount of clever thinking that went into that. It's just that his demeanor makes it easy for people to forget that he can think that way. And then man,
Would you say C?
C, yeah, C is
I
good.
think C, man, because
Yeah, C is good.
that guy, yeah, Chopper is like he's just
It's
okay.
it's
But
really hard to tell. Yeah, but yeah, C is good.
what about Polnareff? Polnareff, man, listen, he's a certified buffoon. Let's not
He
sugarcoat
is.
things for my boy. He does not think that deep into things, right?
No, he does not.
But
Um,
has there been moments of stoicism with him? Like,
no, I don't think
yeah,
of a single one.
nothing.
Like almost every single time he's been. In fact, his inability to be rational in certain situations has caused Abdul's quote unquote death at one point. So, because he ended up coming back, but that's a whole other thing.
And
Yeah,
remember, his whole reason for joining the fight was like for his sister, right? His
yeah,
sister's death. And
hmm
we saw that fight that that he had in the with the genie stand, right?
hmm
And he was basically defeated, by it because of his like irrationality,
yeah,
and just the way that he was he basically just walked into the trap like a moron, and Abdul had to come in and save him. But
yeah. He's a very entertaining and lovable character, but
but you know
from a
what?
stoicism standpoint, yeah.
But you know what? Why I can't put him in D and why I would put him in C?
What's up?
The last arc when they're about to fight Dio, and they just saw Avdol die. He was just one shotted. Like
Oh
he was
yeah,
really one shotted this time,
oh
right?
yeah,
He really
yeah.
died.
He just went off. Yeah, yeah. You done. You gone.
Polnareff and Iggy saw this. Like the Polnareff and the dog saw this, and they just started booking it. It was their natural instinctive fear to run and escape this thing. And Polnareff for a moment he stopped and he thought, like, listen, my instinct is to run away from this because I can't control this, let alone surmount it, right? Which you would think is what a Stoic would do. But as he thought about it further, as he was running towards the door, just before he gets to the door, he actually makes a right with the dog. And they both do this in tandem. And they run up the stairs. And they make a choice to stay there and fight. And the reason is because they've gotten to this point because they faced adversity completely in the face, whether they thought it was insurmountable or not, and they surmounted it, and they chose to believe in their own power. And to me, that was a good moment of stoicism where I think that's more of like kind of how we would in the next episode kind of embody our stoicism, healthy stoicism, where you are using it to push yourself to to overcome these adversities and overcome like and grow yourself as a person. And that moment alone is one of the most impactful moments of the entire series for me, when they choose to not abandon their friends and they just like and it's in the face of death, imminent death. They have no inkling to believe that they can even beat this guy, and they choose to stay there and fight anyways. And they have a complete stone face for the first time in the series. Like Polnareff and Iggy, they're just not playing any type of games, and they go at it. So I think he's in a C tier. And what do you think?
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah,
I would I would I would probably be like um I guess it depends on how you look at it. You know what? In the next episode, on the next call it episodes, the next podcast that we cover stoicism, I'll
yeah,
bring back Polner up because what I'm about to do is gonna turn this into a 3 hour conversation. I'm not trying to do that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can always like screenshot this and bring it up later or something for the next one. So we have here All Might next.
I mean, he is the symbol of justice, right? Let's see.
That is, he's the symbol of stoicism.
Uh I know,
He does seem
but
to have some to him, though.
yeah, yeah, he does. And
I would
because
put him at least in B, probably.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. At least B, if not A, because um he got hit with that injury that makes it so that he can't be a hero anymore. And he's accepted it. And that's why he was
Mhm.
looking for a successor because it's like I cannot be the symbol of justice forever. Um, my time is gonna come very soon, and I need to find a worthy replacement for myself. So where I
Yeah,
feel like a lot of people would have tried to remain in that position, he accepted it. Remember when he pointed to Deku? Let him know, hey, I'm passing the mantle on to you. So now I'm just gonna be a mentor and kind of oversee all of you guys. And you see, there's even a moment. Remember when they're training on their new signature moves, and Deku is learning shoot style. There's a rubble that's about to fall on All Might, and Deku saves him. And you see the moment of reflection for All Might where he's thinking to himself, "Wow, it's come to this now where I'm the one getting saved by my students." That's kind of insane.
yeah,
And you can see he's struggling with it, but he realizes at the same time, this is my reality right now. There's nothing else for me to do. And it's like a perfect example of the what we talked about earlier about learning to accept the things that you can't change and do something about the things that you can. Remember Sir Night Eye?
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, he was the definition of telling people what they can't escape because he could see into the future. Like, no, in your fate, all I see is death. And this is how things are going to turn out. There's nothing that you can do about it. Right.
Yeah,
So he will tell you that. But then you saw All Might. He's still doing like, cardiovascular exercises, jogging, everything, because it's like, I may not be able to do anything about my current state, but at least I can maintain myself.
yeah,
So he's doing all that. So that's why I said, you know, either B or A for him at the very least. So
yeah.
depending how
Let's
you
do
feel.
like low A for now.
All right.
What about Natsu Dragneo from Fairy Tail? One of your favorites.
Wait, what?
What?
No, never put that on me
What? a-
ever.
what about
That-
that moment? You said there was that moment you love with him and Gildarts.
I never said that.
What?
Oh, Gildarts. Oh, yeah. Wait, but
Oh, you
see
see
now. No.
it?
See, that moment is more so because I love when powerful characters flex their power, and that's what it was with Gildarts.
Oh,
And
okay.
this, and one of the reasons too I really like that moment was because it was the only time that you saw a quintessentially shonen type character, MC, be humbled.
Yeah, and he accepted it, right? I
And
think.
he
What did he say?
accepted it too. He was like, "Oh, wait, no, no, I can't. No, this I cannot handle. This is way above my pay grade. This is way above
Yo,
my weight class. I can't hang with this guy right now."
does that
But you know
qualify
what?
him for B?
but you know what though?
What?
That was the only time. Everything that he's done since that point has erased that for me in terms of the value he holds to qualify him as a Stoic. So no, man,
C, D.
bro.
Okay, what? Give me a letter, Teddy. Give me something to work with, bro.
No, I mean, let me ask you, where would you put him?
I would say C, because the thing is, he had that, and he had the moment with acnologia, right? And he
Hmm.
bounced back from it, right? And the thing is, it didn't really affect his character or the way he moves around in life afterwards, like it did with kind of like Ash or like other people.
Okay.
Um, which is why I wouldn't say that he has really developed stoicism, because like just because you show stoicism in one instance doesn't mean you've developed it and are implementing it into your life like on a regular daily basis. So I would put him very low C
Hmm.
or D or high D. I don't
Yeah.
know what if you agree with
I
that.
mean, I'm only seeing D for this man, but if you
All
say
right.
low C, I mean,
Now
I'm not.
let's put him right under Wapo. And what about Anya,
Um,
another pink-haired character from Spy Family? The thing about her is that she is literally a child. So
yeah, man.
when you're a
That's not
child,
even fair. Why you have her on here, bro? You're about to
listen,
bully her for no reason.
no, no, no. There's no bullying.
You're a
Like this
bully.
is this is the thing. Like she literally cannot be a stoic because she hasn't matured enough to the point that she was able to learn these things, right? You know, and we'll talk more about this off air, but we've had conversations, right, where a certain thing has happened, right? And we're not happy with the situation, right? But you told me, listen, I can't control like, what's happening here with what, maybe this other person is doing or that person's doing, right? So I'm gonna just do me. I'm gonna do what I can do because I don't like this situation and I can't continue in it. But I can't control them. I can't control what other people do. I can only control what I do, right?
Yeah.
But we have these conversations because we're adults and we kind of have learned this through time, right? But you remember there's times where you're young where you're like, no, I just wanna, wish I could change this person, or you're not even worried about other people. You're just worried about like, man, I don't even want to go to school or anything like that. And that's where Anya is right now. So that's why for me she's D. She's like the very bottom of D. She has no stoicism to her at all. At least from what I've seen in the anime. I've only watched the anime. So of course if there's something else I haven't seen or maybe a moment I'm forgetting, definitely let me know. But Anya for me is D. What do you
Oh yeah,
think,
no,
Teddy?
she's definitely a D because she's extremely emotional, extremely reactionary, you know. Yeah, I mean she's cute, but it's definitely a D.
Yeah. And I love
And
Spy Family more than anything. Anya is one of my favorite characters. Um,
and so since we're done with all the characters, yeah, I'll just there's a couple that I wanted to bring to
Rearrange.
and add. No, 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 just like characters that aren't on here. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna
Tell
see
me because I know
where
you
you.
had a list.
Yeah, Kisuke Urahara.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Where would you have him?
Kisuke Urahara. I would have him probably S. Yeah, definitely S. If Genos is an S, Kisuke Urahara is definitely
He's
an
gotta
S.
be right. He's gotta
He's
be an
definitely
S.
an S. Ulquiorra, which
Ukyo,
I thought I had a picture of Ulquiorra here, dude. It's not here, but he would definitely be an S.
he's
He is
definitely
one.
be an.
He's one of those like Zoro, Itachi type characters that like he's literally all about stoicism.
That's right. How about?
Doflamingo, I had here as well.
Oh, I was about to say crocodile actually.
Crocodile, yeah, he's another one.
How about Killua?
Ooh, Killua. Okay. He had that moment where he kind of like remember when he broke the was it a string from his brother that was in his
Yeah,
brain?
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah. It
needle,
was,
needle. It
it
was
was
the
a
needle.
needle. It was a needle. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a big moment for him where I feel like
it was an
he kind of
awakening.
yeah, it was an awakening for him, and after that, he just really I feel like he really came into himself.
Yeah, he
Um,
came into his own. That's yeah.
where I feel like it's a healthy example of stoicism when like after that moment for him. I think Gon would Gon would be a bit low on this list.
Gon would be extremely low. He'd probably be in D because I mean, dude went rage mode because of. Um, see, that's an example of somebody who couldn't accept the outcome of a situation. He couldn't accept that Kai died, and he struggled. He struggled
Yeah,
to accept it, which is funny because I think Kite would probably be either A or S. Dude lost an arm, but he still went about trying to fight Pito in that situation because he understood, right, that if he didn't fight Pito, Killua and Gon were dead.
yeah.
They were gonna die. So he did what he needed to do in that situation. So Kite will probably definitely be a S in terms of this tier list for it.
What about Meruem?
Oh,
Just
Mary,
look at the way that he died. Look at the way.
yeah,
Look at his attitude when he went out.
he's probably a S too.
Like, for me, he'll probably be an S,
He
man.
actually grew because he wasn't an S when he was born. He just grew into that over time, like playing Komugi and
Yeah,
understanding, coming to appreciate the human beings for what they have the potential to be. So yeah, I think S because he became, dude. Remember his rationale for the new world he wanted to create? He was like, I want to create a world based on merit. The people that deserve to live will live because they have something to contribute to society. And those who don't, they'll just be cattle. It's a very extremist mindset, but it's based in some kind of logic,
yeah,
right? So yeah.
yeah, for
Let's
sure. And I
let's
think that would be a good relationship to examine Meruem and Komugi. Like, why did Komugi turn him? Like, kind of develop him. That would be something to look forward to talking to in future episodes, like how our relationship with others can help form us as individuals. And I definitely do want to get more, maybe do a series on individualism, or as Carl Jung I think called it, or Nietzsche, the path of individuation, how to become yourself, because we've been talking about that with all these things like stoicism, grief, how we process grief, and death, and all these topics we've been talking about, and love even, we've been talking about how they kind of like can form you to be your true self. And I think it's long due for an episode going into the true self itself, and how we can find it, and all that, and what steps we can take. That's definitely going to come down the road. This was a really fun tier list, and it was an eclectic set of characters. We obviously didn't get all of our favorites on there, like Teddy mentioned, Ukiora, Grim Jow, or whoever it was that we're just talking about. Um, but this is just the 101. This is just the intro, and we're gonna be back, definitely going more in depth on Stoicism and our views on it as a whole, and how it can actually be practically applied in life. But before we wrap this up today, do you kind of have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Nah, man. I feel like most everything that needed to be said has been said. And like you said, there's going to be a follow-up conversation about this. So I'll be looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It was a great topic. Thanks you for joining me, Teddy. Thanks for everybody who's listening now and who's listening after the fact. This is the Pursuit of Anime, Raven and Teddy, and this was Stoicism and Anime 101. And following next week, we have a really interesting topic on parasocial relationships, which is kind of a different direction for the channel, just for an episode where it's still going to be anime based, because parasocial relationships are something that affect the world of anime as a whole. We're going to be going kind of into the effects on parasocial relationships, and answering the question of, are parasocial relationships a societal sickness? And we hope you're going to be able to join us next week. Everybody listening, we'll be here next week. It's going to be super interesting. A lot of factoids, very informational, and it's going to be an interesting topic to get into for sure. But until then, I guess this is it, man. We are out. Thank you for all the likes, subscriptions that we've been getting recently, all the views. We appreciate all the support. I'm sure Teddy's been ecstatic. Teddy's been putting in that overtime on the YouTube Shorts. So thank
Ah,
you for
thank you,
that,
thank you.
Teddy. Yeah,
No problem.
thank you for that, man. And And yeah, I guess with that, we will catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.